Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and welcome to episode 278, where we're going to be talking about dealing with difficult family and friends, especially since here in early November 2025, we are coming up to the holiday season, and this is a very common topic. So this is certainly something from the personal side of the Delta CX Hive. This is not related to your job. This is going to be more related to your personal side and more related to my life coaching, which if you're curious about, you can check out at dcx.to. So if you have a question or a thought, you are welcome to put it in the chat today. Hello from the other side. It will show up on the screen like this. Good to see you, Pump a Latte. And again, I also need to mention I am a certified life coach, but I am not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. So some of the things I will tell you are good coaching, and some of the things I will tell you are my own personal opinions, but I am not a therapist or a psychologist. If you are experiencing additional distress or trauma or PTSD, especially related to the holiday season, or dealing with certain people in your friend or family circle, I do recommend that people get that help from qualified humans. I know asking ChatGPT stuff feels cool, but it is not a qualified therapist. So don't forget to reach out and get the help that you need, whatever that might be. So I wanted to talk about this and open up this conversation because I know that this is a topic on a lot of people's minds. Hey, it's early November, and at some point in November or December or January or all of the above, I'm going to have to go see family or friends, or they're going to come to me or near me, and these are difficult people. These are people who I don't agree with. These are people who don't like me or accept me. These are people who have opposing political views. And in this show, I'm not saying any particular view is right or wrong. I'm not saying if you're for this, that's good, and if you're against this, that's bad. I'm just talking about when people trying to have a nice dinner together, or maybe a family trip or something, are really at odds with each other. And what can we do to help protect ourselves? Because it really comes down to that. How can we protect our headspace? How can we stay confident in who we are? How can we validate ourselves, even if people around us are not validating, or maybe they're invalidating? Maybe they don't like how you live. Maybe they don't like where you work, or that you don't have a job. Maybe they don't like who you love or who you voted for. It doesn't matter. People are always dreaming up new ways to disagree with each other and find fault with each other. So, from a coaching perspective, one of the first things we'd want to talk about would be, what are your values? What's important to you? When you think about your values, what comes to mind? For me, I'm usually thinking of things like honesty, integrity, empathy, and care for others. And that ties into how I treat people. What are your values? And can your values, hi Ana Lucia, can your values help guide you? Now, one of the first things I want to say about the holiday season is that in case you're looking for permission to not go to a friend or family event, I give you that permission. I don't have that power over you. You don't need my permission. But in case it helps, I give you that permission. And I hope you can give yourself that permission. Because when you think about these friends and family events, if there is any possibility that these feel optional to go to, you might want to take a close look at that option and think about, is this the right place for me to be? Will I be glad I saw these people or had that dinner or went to that event? And part of coaching is to try to project your future self. Imagine it's January or February, and I'm asking you, oh, how did Thanksgiving go? Or how did Christmas go? Or how did Hanukkah go? Or whatever you celebrate from whatever region or religion. Hey, how did that family or friend get together go? What would you like to tell me? What story would your future self hope to be telling me? It went well? I didn't go? I put my own oxygen mask on first? These are very difficult topics because we imagine that they're very complex. And we imagine that the most important thing that we can do is not hurt somebody else. But very often we're going to go to a dinner or an event where not everybody has the same care for us. There might be somebody there who doesn't mind if they hurt us. Sometimes they can't wait to hurt us. They can't wait to pick on us for who we are or who we're with, or we don't have a job, or we're not in the right job, or we voted for this person, or what's going on in this country, or whatever it might be. And that immediately creates an imbalance. If you're going in with care and empathy, and especially if you're going in with expectations about how you'll be treated, and then there are other people coming to the same event who might lack care or empathy, or they might specially like to wind you up. You might already know this. If they do this, you might not be surprised. And so a really important question, which may or may not be a tough question, is, do you still want to go? Do you have to go? Can you invent a reason to not go? I don't like lying, and I try to avoid lying, but I absolutely give you permission to make up any story you need to make up to not go to a family or friend event where you feel it will be emotionally, mentally, physically harmful, or anything else, where later on you will say, I am not happy I went. Make up anything you need to make up. Oh my God, I have COVID, and I don't want to expose everybody to that. I have the flu. Whatever it is, I don't care what your story is. It just needs to be believable and something that excuses you from whatever this might be. Be creative. Maybe people in the chat can think of some creative things that sound true that people can use to get out of these events. When I was growing up, I was always the black sheep, and I was the person who would say, I'm just not coming. Why not? I don't want to be there. I don't belong there. I'm not going to be happy later that I was there. And that obviously caused its own issues, and people didn't like that. But guess what? I felt awesome. Just awesome. I didn't want to be wrapped up in what other people wanted to pretend they needed from me, because I knew that some of those people were not going to be happy no matter what I said, no matter what I did, no matter what I didn't say, and no matter what I didn't do. And I just had to put on my own oxygen mask first and decide I'm not going. There were so many things that I did not go to. And I don't look back at that at all with any regret, because I put a lot of thought into that decision. I wanted to make sure I made a decision that I would not regret. And do I regret skipping various family or other holiday dinners, meals, whatever they might be? I happen to not regret that. Maybe you do, or you might, and so you have to make the right decision for you. Today is not be more like me. Today is be true to you. Ana Lucia says, Christmas holidays are usually fine for me because it's short. But this year, I'm dreading things a bit because my cousin's girlfriend is showing signs of postpartum paranoia or something similar, and that'll wreck things. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hold my tongue. Yeah, that's tough. When we know that there are other people who will be there who are in crisis, who are experiencing mental illness or having their own personal difficulties, we certainly might not want to yell at those people or fight with those people, but it might happen. They might pick a fight with us. They might say or do something that we find unacceptable. And we have to decide in the moment what is the best thing to happen next. I am that weirdo who has always decided what should happen next based on my future self. If I have to look at myself in the mirror later, what will I be proud that I did? What will I be not proud that I did or not proud that I didn't do? And I will take the time in the moment to process that and ask myself those questions. That means that I have often been the person at the family holiday dinner standing up and saying something difficult to someone else who's there. Something that often started with, "How dare you?" And sometimes fighting with people and sometimes walking out. I have walked out of family holiday meals and I don't care. But some people will care. So again, you have to pick what's right for you. Ana Lucia says, "My family is like, let her be. You have to respect her choices. Sorry, but I don't have to agree with her bad choices when I look at her actions and everything screams she's taking things way too far." Yeah, it's difficult. What do you do when you don't agree with what someone is doing or not doing? What should happen when they don't agree with what you're doing or not doing? Where do we decide to say nothing and where do we decide to say something? And I find that has worked. What has worked best for me is trying to imagine my future self. It's a month from now. What do I want to look back at this day and remember? Now, if I know there's going to be a lot of conflict, if I feel there is a high probability of conflict, usually I just decide to not go. Whatever delicious food I might miss, whatever family I might miss seeing, I can find some other way to catch up with them. I usually decide to take myself out of the picture so that I don't create conflict or more conflict, and I don't draw attention to myself. I'm just not there. Asmirella says, "Mind your own business is a good way." And it really depends, because we would say mind your own business sounds like a good way to go. But what do we do if there's someone at the dinner table who is actively harassing us about our life or our choice or something about ourselves? How do you mind your own business? Can you stop that conversation? Can you stop that person from harassing you? Let's see. The kid was born 3 weeks ago. She refuses to let anyone pick up the baby. She only lets people see the baby from afar, and that includes the grandmother. Asmirella says, "That's different. We don't want to be the harasser is what I'm saying." Sure, but we also must remember that sometimes the harasser can't tell the difference between a reaction and an action because they think they're perfectly fine. They think it's perfectly fine for them to pick on you for your life or your choices or who you voted for or what you feel about this country doing this or that. And if when you say to them, "Hey, I don't want to talk about this," or "Hey, I don't agree with you," then they try to make it look like you're the harasser and you're causing the problem. So we must remember that not everybody at that dinner table is a high empathy, super amazing person unless you're really lucky and you have my husband's family and you're surrounded by amazing people. The family that I grew up with was extremely far from amazing and super toxic, and many of these dinner events turned into fights and turned into ugliness, and I was always seen as the bad guy because I said something. Evidently, if I had said nothing and allowed people to say disgusting things, racist things, inappropriate things, abusive things, evidently that was okay. The problem was Debbie said something. And I get it. That follows me through to this day. But that's where we have to think about thing one. Do you even want to be there? Do you have to be there? So Ana Lucia is saying, nobody will let, this woman won't let other people pick up her baby. And you know what I say to that? I don't care. If she doesn't want to let other people pick up her newborn baby, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to make a big deal out of that. If this person is nervous about being a first-time mother and is nervous about other people holding her baby and the baby is 3 weeks old, I would probably just go with that. And I'd probably let that person work through that. And I probably would not tell that person that they need to hand their baby to somebody else. I think I would let that go. And I think I would try to be understanding of that person's perspective. Now I don't know that person's perspective. I've purposefully not had children. I've never been pregnant. I don't know what it's like to have a baby come out of you and then start handing it to people. I can see with empathy, I can see how that might be scary, difficult, weird. I'm not going to make her let me pick up the baby, but I'm pissed about it. She didn't let the grandma pick up the baby. But that just implies that you have expectations for this woman. And I would say, and Ana Lucia, you know I love you, absolutely love you as a person. And I've been lucky enough to meet you in real life. But I would say, why do you have these expectations? Who cares? Maybe when you see each other for Easter, she's passing the baby around and she feels better about it. Why can't this be okay? If she's not doing something abusive and harmful, and there are so many people who are going to go into homes and situations and events that are abusive and harmful, if it's not abusive and harmful, why do we care? Why do we care if the grandmother hasn't picked up this baby? I don't care. I really don't. I hope the mother has picked up the baby, and if the father is involved in the baby's life, I hope the father has picked up the baby, or if there's two moms, I hope both moms have picked up the baby. But if this person isn't passing their baby around to even what makes grandma special? If this person believes, it's pretty common to not let others hold a baby that young. Yeah, I think that I don't want to start a fight over that. When I used to start fights or add to fights at the family events that I went to, it was usually because someone said something racist or someone said something that was incredibly abusive that I found unacceptable and that I was not going to stay quiet through. But if someone didn't want somebody to, like, sometimes I would go to family events with my dog and people would be like, keep your dog away from me. So I would keep the dog away from them. I'm not going to be like, no, you have to touch the dog, play with the dog. Like, fine, you don't want the dog, you don't have to have the dog near you. I don't go to my brother's house with my baby. He has a pit bull. Sure. And even a dog that isn't a pit bull could potentially be unpredictable around a baby. And I love dogs. And I get it. And so, the question is, if we can look at these things with some empathy, can we relax the expectations that we have for other people? That's what we can do. We're in control of that. We can't control if this woman hands her baby to other people, and we shouldn't try to control that because that's her choice. But we can control our reaction. We can control how we feel about that. Makes me antisocial, but I just can't do it. And Asmirella, I feel you. I was told all through my life, Debbie's antisocial. Debbie, well, there was a whole long list of what Debbie was, but antisocial was at the top of that list. And my thought at the time was, I'm making good choices. I'm happy with my choices. I'm not going to go to a family event where I know it's going to be a freaking nightmare. I'm not going to go to a family event where I know that racist asshole is coming and is going to have some words to say. Asmirella, I don't think of you as antisocial. Maybe if you never leave your house and you never see any humans, maybe you're antisocial. But then I would also say, and who cares? Ana Lucia says, I can understand doing that with people like narcissistic great-grandma I told you about, but the grandma is fine. She works in healthcare and only wanted to pick up the baby and touch him after taking a bath. My mom is fine. She was vetted by me. See, but you're looking through your own eyes. You're not looking through this cousin's eyes. You're saying, I vetted people. What does that mean? Did you have them fill out a form? Like, it doesn't make sense. You've decided they're okay. But this other person decided they don't want these people to hold their baby. They have their own reasons. Why don't we accept those reasons? Why isn't that okay? Why isn't it okay that this woman doesn't want other people to hold her newborn? Why isn't that okay? That should be okay. It should be her choice, and her choice may change over time. Maybe right now it's nobody touch my baby, but maybe in a few months it's, okay, I feel better about this. Here's my baby, hold her. Why does she think she knows better than healthcare professionals? Because she doesn't see them that way. You're trying to take some sort of logical perspective where you've decided that it's okay if a healthcare professional holds a baby. And I'm telling you, that doesn't matter. If she's decided nobody holds the baby but me, or but me and my partner, that's that. And it doesn't matter if anyone's been vetted. It doesn't matter if they are licensed. None of this matters. It really doesn't. Healthcare professionals are around people all day and they have germs. Yeah, that's possible too. But I think the bottom line here is, rather than coming up with reasons why healthcare professionals shouldn't hold a baby, I would just encourage you to let go. Amy says we should respect people's boundaries, whether they're family or strangers. Sure. You know, we hear this a lot also when a little kid doesn't want to be held or kissed, and great aunt so-and-so says, come over here and give me a big kiss. And that kid should be allowed to say no. No, thank you. No. And I believe in giving people agency. I believe in allowing people healthy boundaries. I don't see anything here that the woman with the newborn is doing that I think is bad or dangerous or harmful. Sure, maybe some people will be insulted by this. Maybe some people will say, how dare you not let me hold your baby? Well, you work that out with yourself. Holding a baby is a privilege, and someone has to decide that you get that privilege, and maybe they have reasons why you don't get that privilege. And it could just be, this is my first newborn and I'm so scared of anybody touching them. That's fine. It could be something else we don't even know. That's just something I can't, let me move myself over here. That's just something else I can't say enough about. You never know. Healthcare professionals, Anna Lucy, I got to tell you, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't care if healthcare professionals know how to deal with a baby. I really don't. It doesn't matter. I don't think this woman is stopping people from holding the baby because they don't have enough healthcare qualifications. If she's not asking people their healthcare qualifications before handing them the baby, your criteria don't match hers. You have criteria and expectations that don't match hers. Postpartum signs are separate. Postpartum is a separate issue. But if this person does not want other people to hold the baby, that's okay. And that should be okay. And I would say, have a talk with yourself as to why you've decided that that's not okay. Pumpalate says, now that we're talking about boundaries, I absolutely hated when other people wanted to hold me or kiss me as a kid. I'm so happy I can say no to people now and even kick them in the nuts if they don't listen. It's such a vulnerable position to be a kid when nobody listens to you or your boundaries. Exactly. And really what today's topic is about is you get to define your boundaries. You can go to that family event. You cannot go to that family event. But you need to take a look at your boundaries, your perspectives, and your expectations. For people who are going into a house for a family dinner where the political views are completely against yours, what do you expect to happen? Do you expect these people to be understanding of you, accepting of you? Do you expect these people to fight with you, disagree with you, try to convince you to believe something different? You know these people. What do you expect will happen? Do you have reasonable, realistic, rational expectations. It's time to have those expectations, because otherwise we might be walking into some very difficult meals and events. I mean, I had the opposite problem with babies. I've never held a baby in my life because I don't want to. And when people have been like, oh, you're married, you might want to have kids soon. Do you want to hold my baby? No. And nobody knew what to do with that. Who says no to that, right? Me. Because I don't want that. 100 times out of 100, I do not want to hold anybody's baby. I do not want to touch your baby. I do not want to hold your baby. I might say a few words to your baby. Maybe I'll read it a book, but no way am I touching that thing. That's where my boundaries are. I like to be rather uninvolved with babies. So just like I wouldn't want someone to force me to hold a baby, I'm not going to force someone to hand their baby to someone. That's right. You don't have to hold a baby if you don't want to. And your cousin or cousin's girlfriend does not have to let other people hold their baby if they don't want other people to hold their baby. That's really okay. I mean, we must remember that not everybody is a fantastic person, and not everybody has the same relationships with people. I grew up in one of many ugly households. Many people had it worse than I did, so there's no way that I'm going to try to make it sound like, ooh, I had it the worst. No, many other people had it worse. But I grew up around abusive, malignant narcissists. There was endless verbal and emotional abuse. There was some physical abuse. There is no way that I would assume that the people from my family are safe for anything. These are harmful people. I would not want anyone to hand them a baby. I don't even think they should have had their own babies. These are bad people. You might decide these are good people. Fine. When you have a baby, you hand the baby to them. Or you don't have a baby, don't hand a baby to them. But it doesn't make sense for you to try to decide what someone else should do with their baby. They don't want grandma to hold the baby and grandma has to stay away. That's fine. What if they know something about grandma that you don't? I know a lot of things about members of my family that people outside the family don't know. What if there's something there? What if they did hand the baby to grandma one day and they didn't like what they saw? We don't know. Why can't we give them the benefit of the doubt? Who said grandma has to hold the baby? That's not in the Bible. And it's not in there. No, I don't believe you. That's the whole point. You're telling me you know better than these people what they should do with their own baby. Can you imagine if I told you that about yourself? We can't do that. We can't say that we know better than someone else how they should handle a newborn baby if that baby is not being harmed. If the baby is being harmed, then yes, you have to decide if you are saying something. You have to decide if you are stepping in to try to stop actual abuse, whether that is verbal or emotional abuse towards the baby or physical abuse towards the baby. If you are seeing actual abuse, then you have to decide if you are stepping in. If there's no abuse here, then I would probably say, what are you doing right now? Stay out of this. Let these people do this the way they want. Let them express their boundaries the way that they want. If they are not harming themselves or their baby. Why aren't they allowed to make that decision? Why aren't they allowed to decide who holds the baby? Obviously, today we're talking about a lot more than random baby, I don't even know, hypothetical baby. This is also going to be about people going into meals and dinners and events where they feel unaccepted or they know they're unaccepted, and they know that there's a possibility that the conversation could get difficult. And I want to say to all of those people, think about your beliefs, your values, your feelings, and your needs. These are some of the things we talk about in coaching. What do you need? You might need understanding. You might need acceptance. Okay, let's imagine those are some of your needs. Will you get that from the people at this dinner? If so, fantastic. If you'll get it from some of those people, good. What about the people who will not get that, or who will aggressively try to go beyond your boundaries? Do you still want to be at that dinner or that event? And then we have to consider, if we are going to be there, how will we handle things if conversations get difficult? Yeah, Asmirella points out, if the cousin is having drama with the grandmother, why are we even questioning why they won't let them hold the baby? Obviously, if they're having conflicts with other people, they don't want them to hold the baby. That seems logical. Why are we still talking about this baby? So I want to get back to talking about all of you who might be going to family homes, meals, events, knowing that there might await an ugly conversation. Someone who wants to pick on you about who you are, or fight with you about your perspectives or beliefs or who you voted for or things like that. And the question is, how will you handle that? There are many ways to handle that, and short of violence, I think many of them are possibilities. So the question is, how will you handle that? Like Ana Lucia says, I expect Christmas dinners to go sideways. Okay, what will we do about that? If Christmas dinner goes sideways, what do? We have lots of options. Most people will have lots of options. You can walk out. I've done that many times, and I was glad I did. You can remove yourself from the situation if you feel like you should not be there. If it is bad for your boundaries, bad for your mental health, bad for other things, you don't have to be there. You can say, thanks. Thanks for the dinner. Thanks for inviting me. The salad was lovely. Sorry, I'm not going to make it to the main dish, but I really don't want to be here fighting with people. I'm glad I could come for a little while. Bye, everybody. See you next year. And I just smile and I leave. But that, again, that's me. I'm not saying anybody has to be me, but I am saying you have options. In many cases, you have options. So maybe you don't leave. Maybe you stay. Now the question is, are you fighting with these people? Oh, yeah, you can walk out of your own house. You can walk out of your own house. That is an option. It's a little bit more of a more awkward option because it is your house, but you can leave. Maybe you say, you know what? Things are a little ugly in here right now, and I'm just going to take a walk around the block. I'll be back in 20 minutes. And you go and you cool off and you get some perspective, and you hope that the energy has shifted. Hopefully your energy can shift, and you come back and you try again. So again, you can leave permanently, you can leave temporarily, even if it is your own house. You can. You can. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe that would be best for everybody. I don't know. I'm not there. You can also decide whether you want to fight with people or debate with them, or whether you don't want to. And remember, you can decline to fight with people or debate with people, even if they're trying to wind you up. You just need to recognize that they are trying to wind you up and just decide to opt out of that. So they might say, ah, ha, ha, you voted for this guy and look what happened here. And you can say, thank you for your perspective on that. That's a topic I don't want to discuss. I'd like to know if anyone saw a good movie recently. Change the topic, come prepared with some topics, and just say, I'm not going to talk about that. No, I really want to talk about that. You voted for it. Now look at you. This sounds mean. This sounds cruel. It sounds like you're trying to pick on me. I think we should pick a different topic. I'd like to know who saw a good movie recently. And again, this is about boundaries. You have now created, once you tell people, let's not talk about this. Let's have a peaceful dinner. Let's not focus on our differences. Let's talk about something else. Did anybody buy a great album lately? I know I did. And if they keep going, you can say, hey, I've expressed boundaries. I've expressed that I would like to not talk about this, and you're still talking about it. Why? What are you hoping will happen right now? What's your desired outcome? We must remember that many people feel like they want to win. They don't want to debate. They want to win. They don't want to discuss. They want to win. And so my thought is, I don't like that because I don't like because where there's a winner, there's a loser. I don't want anyone to feel like they went to a family event and they came out a loser. So the question is, why? Why does it matter? What does it matter if you're right or I'm right? What does that change? Will it change anything? Will either of us vote differently next time? Because it doesn't matter, I don't think we should spend time talking about it. Let's pick a different topic. And again, these are the types of things that I've tried saying to people. They don't always work. People love to pick on people. They love, especially if they feel like, ooh, I got you. Ooh, I can wind you up. And that's part of why I try to say things very unemotionally and plainly and just say, I get the feeling you're saying that, hoping that maybe we'll have a fight or a debate. I don't want that. I didn't come here for a fight or a debate. I came here for a nice dinner with family. I'd like to keep it that way. What can we talk about that will keep this a nice dinner with family? Anna Lucia says maybe her cousin won't come. Honestly, if I'm your cousin, I don't want to come. I hope she doesn't come for herself. Then she doesn't have to hear that she's doing the wrong thing with her baby. Yeah, if I'm her, my message to her would be don't go. Don't go and listen to people tell you you need to let random people hold your baby. Pampalate says, in my early 20s, I'd argue with everybody about everything. Now I'm like, does it really matter who's right? Is there right? What's the meaning of all this? Yeah, exactly. And the bottom line is, most of us are very solid in our beliefs. Most of us are pretty confident in our religious or spiritual beliefs. Most of us are confident in our sexuality, our gender or gender expression. We know who we are. We know what we believe in. It wouldn't make sense to invite me to dinner and try to sell me your religion. I'm not buying. I don't want to be sold a different religion. I don't care if you tell me your religion is the best. I don't care if you tell me it's the only right one. And I don't care if you tell me I'm going to hell if I don't love the same God you do in the same way. That's fine. You enjoy yourself. But I don't want to listen to that. If that's going to be the dinner conversation, I'm going to go. That's me. Always have an exit plan. Good afternoon, Keith. We are talking about how to handle difficult family and friends at holidays. Family means nothing to me, Ana Lucia. It doesn't matter. If this person, who I think you said is your cousin's girlfriend, so you're only kind of her family, if she's having fights or disagreements with people in your family and doesn't want them to hold her baby, I support her. I don't know how else to say that. You know I want to support you. You know I want to put 1,000% positive energy behind you, Ana Lucia. But I support the person who's decided not everybody gets to hold my baby. Maybe nobody gets to hold my baby. Keith says, redirect, reframe, evade. I'm with you, Keith. I think that if people are going to start difficult conversations with us, we need to be ready with fresh topics. I even mentioned that towards the end of Life After Tech. Be ready to have fresh topics we can talk about. Maybe you want to talk about music or movies or the new Villains Land they're going to build at Disney World. Disney World. It's good you talk to Debbie and can maybe give your family a different perspective. Show this girl who had a baby some grace. That's how I feel. Like I said, if I were hearing stories that the person were hurting their baby, abusing their baby, mistreating their baby, well, I would be all over that because I have a strong injustice trigger and I would be very upset about that and I would have a different set of advice. But when the set of information I have is cousin so-and-so won't let other people hold her baby, I've got to admit, I can't find the problem there. I literally cannot find the problem there. I understand that you see a problem. I cannot find the problem. Nobody gets to hold the baby. That's fine. I'm okay with that. No one gets to be close to the baby. I'm okay with that. Coming from an abusive family, and of course, I had it better than many people did. Many people had it worse. I get it. I get it when someone does not like or trust someone or just feels very protective of their newborn and doesn't want other people to hold a baby or touch a baby. I get it. I support that person. Amy says, just because they're family doesn't mean you need to relax your boundaries. Keith says, in any conversation, I start out with the echo technique to figure out what they're about. Your boundaries support your values, brings you peace. Yeah, bring yourself peace. That's the bottom line here. And that's why I said, give yourself permission to not go to the event, go to the event and leave. Go to the event and go for a walk if things are getting ugly and you want to try to shift the energy. And to try to change the topic. Like Keith said, redirect, reframe, evade. And so typically I would just try to say, yep, thank you, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to keep this a positive dinner that we all have good memories about. And that means not talking about politics or religion or what I do with my body or whatever the topic might be. If she doesn't want anyone holding her baby, respect her choice. Maybe she knows something you don't. You know, I got to admit, you're saying we respect her choice, but you're not. In fact, you started out by saying you might have to say something to this person at dinner. And you've said all these things. So my question to you is, and this is a tough reflection question, are you respecting her choice? Are you what does acts up mean? What does acts up look like? Not letting people hold the baby? That's not acting up. I mean, when I think about the fights that I've had at family dinners, not holding a baby does not make the list. Good God. I remember when evil Grandma Rose announced that it's a good idea to hit a toddler. If you don't like something your toddler has said or done, hit him, slap him in the face. And I was just like, and this stops right now. Yeah, I'm not going to hold the baby. No one wants the baby at this point. Someone pass the baby to someone else. I don't feel like this person's choice is being respected. And I think we just have to think about what respect looks like. What does respect look like? I mean, this is a great question for anybody going to a family holiday dinner or event. What does respecting somebody else's choice look like? What does honoring somebody else's boundaries look like? Maybe that means I know the person sitting across from me has completely opposite political and religious views to me. But to respect and honor that, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to pick on them for it. I'm not going to say, oh, ho, ho, how do you like them apples? I'm going to let that topic alone in the name of peace. Keith says, a lot of my family, anywhere around my kids, not getting emotional, making things worse. I didn't send her a message yet. I don't want to offend her. I talked to my cousin. I'm afraid of talking to her. She's picking fights about everything lately. Again, we're not living your reality. I, as the person in the family who was accused of picking fights about everything, I was constantly told that growing up. You just want to ruin people's day. You fight about everything. I almost feel like you're talking about me. I feel like I am this cousin or this cousin's girlfriend. I am that character. I would be the person not letting anybody touch the baby. I would absolutely be that person. So I have a huge amount of empathy for that person. I have a huge amount of respect for that person for sticking to what they want in what sounds like a tornado of everybody trying to tell this person what to do with their baby. Amy says, it's old-fashioned to think, but it's family, as if you have to put up with abuse if it comes from a family member. Yeah, I agree. I mean, gosh, according to my family, I picked fights multiple times a day, every day that I was alive. And they certainly let me know what they thought of my low value because of it. I get it. I know what it's like to be the different person, the outsider, the person making the choices that other people don't agree with. And in this case, Ana Lucia has a family member making a choice that other people don't agree with. But it doesn't sound like it's a choice that is harming the baby. That's the bottom line. If this isn't harming the baby, where's the problem? Asmirella says you need to research hormonal changes in postpartum women and then respect her and let her go through those moments like she should be able to. Don't treat her like it's the old days. And I know Ana Lucia has medical training and should understand at least some of that. So the question is, what if we peeled away the layers here? What's underneath this? Why is it important that cousin so-and-so hand her baby to people she doesn't want to hand her baby to? Why is that important? Why is it so important that we're fighting about it in this stream for 40 minutes? This is evidently very important. Why? Why does it matter? And that's really some of the questions we're going to be asking ourselves as we decide whether or not to go to people's homes, whether that means traveling or not, for holiday events, dinners, parties. Are we walking into a situation where we will wish we weren't there? How many of you have ever gone to a family or holiday event and said, I shouldn't have come? I just shouldn't have come. And 2 weeks later, you said to yourself, I just shouldn't have come. I shouldn't have gone. And can we see that ahead of time and make a better decision? Whether that's not going at all, or I'll just come for dessert and coffee. Whatever it is, protect yourself. Put yourself first. She's showing signs of postpartum paranoia and depression. I'm afraid she will do something bad. But she hasn't done anything bad. Like, again, I'm worried about what you're thinking about her. Do you want to know the list of things that people thought I was showing signs of throughout my childhood and into my adult years? Everybody was saying Debbie is mentally ill. Debbie is a deeply bad person. I used to hear Debbie is evil. She's actually evil. Debbie likes to hurt people. Debbie is this. Debbie is that. And I just want to say, Ana Lucia, you might be right and you might be wrong. If you think that she has a diagnosable medical condition, then I want a doctor to review her to check for that. But I'm not going to say this person has a medical condition because she's having fights with people in your family and she doesn't want them to hold her baby. Can you imagine who I would be today if I believed the things that people said to and about me for my entire life? Every day I heard these things. Every day. Every day I heard, no one's ever going to love you, Debbie. Every day. And can you imagine who and where I would be if I believed those things? I used to say, if I'm so sick, why haven't you taken me for a diagnosis? It's my mother-in-law making sounds. She has her hearing aids in. She doesn't know she's making sounds. Keith says every Christmas. Yeah. Well, I don't want to shame anybody. If someone has a real medical condition, I want to be aware of that. I want to understand the boundaries that come with that. I want to respect that. If someone doesn't have a medical condition and I just don't like their choices or I don't like their personality, that's a different story. Yeah, knowing you, I completely disagree with your family, even from a medical perspective. Thank you. The images of you in others' heads are filtered through their mental filter. Don't make them true. Yeah. But again, I come with a unique perspective. Excuse me, I'm doing a lot of talking. I come as the person who heard a lot of crap growing up, daily, multiple times a day, into my adult years, until I finally threw my family out of my life. Some of you know this, many of you don't. I got tired of the abuse. I got tired of feeling like I was standing in front of a target, and I threw everybody out in January 2007. I've never been happier. I look back with no regrets, and every January I celebrate the anniversary of having done that. It worked for me. It might not work for you, but I eventually got there, and I'm glad that I did. That works for me because I found there was no way to stop receiving the abuse other than to remove myself from the environment. And there I was all of those years trying to remove myself from the environment in small ways. Not going to the family dinner. The family's going on vacation. I'm not going with you. There were times my entire family went on vacation and I didn't go with them. I couldn't stand to be around them. It wasn't safe. It wasn't healthy. And I had other family, I had cousins and more distant people saying, "Oh, your mother is so loving. She loves you." And I'd be like, "I know more about this than you do." I have a different set of information. And, you just have to realize everybody has their own perspectives. Thank you, Amy. Amy says, "You go, girl." Keith says, "May you just automatically and naturally walk in your full peace and comfort more with every healing breath, my strong and resourceful friends." Keith, this is beautiful. I don't think I know you, but that's absolutely beautiful. Amy says, "Someone very close to me did a similar thing. He's so much healthier now." Yes. One of my best friends who y'all don't know, he hasn't been on the show. I call him Dr. Jeff. I dated him in 1990, and we've stayed good friends. And so he has known me for decades. And when I first disconnected with my family, he was against it. He really did not think that was the right decision. And really nobody around me, other than my therapist, thought it was the right decision. But years later, Dr. Jeff said to me, "I got to tell you, when you first disconnected with your family, I thought this and that and the other thing." He's like, "But now I've gotten to watch you for years, and you've grown, you've flourished, you're free, you're happy. Like, this works for you. It just does." If she acts up during Christmas and I see warning signs, I'll tell my cousin to be aware of it and mention it to the doctor. Yeah, I think that's totally fair. If we think someone is if someone is delusional, if someone is mentally ill, if someone is, my mother-in-law, can you all hear that? You can hear that, right? It's a very sensitive mic. If someone is experiencing issues, we probably don't want to ignore that. We want to get them help, but we have to be careful about how we approach that, especially since I was the person being told to my face, you're mentally ill, you're sick. And their reasons for it were, let's just say, not acceptable. I've been on YouTube a while, first time here. Cool. Hi, Keith. Hey, by the way, everybody, don't forget to join our free Discord. That's where we mostly hang out. And Delta CX.Coach if anybody's interested in life coaching. Right now, I am not life coaching. I'm giving you advice. There is a big difference. Life coaching, we ask questions, we look at values and things like that. I do not tell you what to do in the life coaching side of my world, believe it or not. But today I wanted to do a little bit of coaching and some advising and remind people you do not have to walk into the lion's den. And if you find yourself in the lion's den, you may leave. You may leave for the day. You may take a walk around the block. You may change the topic. You can refuse to engage. If someone says, oh, I hate all those foreigners and everybody's evil and you're the worst and you voted for this or whatever, you can go, cool, thanks for your perspective. That's the true gray rock that you read about, where you're genuinely not for it, you're not agreeing, but you're also not fighting it. I find that the gray rock middle is the best way to not enable them, because they want the fight. They want to feel like they won. They want to feel like they got to you. And I find that when I show them they won't get to me, they eventually give up. So they could say, oh yeah, I hate the people of this color and the people of this religion. I can go, great, thanks for your perspective. Hey, these potatoes are great today. They're not getting the rise out of you that they want. Pacing and leading and calming suggestions work beautifully. I use hypnosis, NLP, and verbal medicine on my page. Yeah, okay, but how about X? Yeah, and I just don't fight people on this stuff. I've had family dinners where people started saying racist things. Guess what? I don't think I can convince racists to not be racist. I wish I could. It would change the world a lot. I would love for racists to not be racist ever again. 0 racists. That's the correct number of racists. However, I recognize that I am unlikely to make someone not racist, especially in the course of a family dinner. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I disagree with that, but I'm not looking to talk to you about that. Today, I'm going to pick a different topic. Hey, who heard the new Toe Hider album? Hey, did I tell you about the really cool concert I saw in September? Hey, did you see this great picture of my vegetable garden this summer? Whatever it is. But I know that I don't want to engage these people and give them the fight that they're looking for, especially the people who want to see me angry, who want to see me hurting, who want to see me on the defensive, fighting for what I believe, defending it. Then they feel like, I won. I owned you. I don't want to play that game. No, thank you. We can keep racists from hurting us in the dinner. I don't know how. What's your plan there, Keith? I mean, usually when people got racist, I got up and left after making a short speech. I mean, since I grew up in a Jewish, I'm non-religious, as many of you know, but since I grew up in a Jewish household, when people started saying racist things, my speech started with, didn't we learn anything from the Holocaust? And ended with me walking out the door. Rage and hate is just extra to deal with, no thanks. Yeah, and to me, these are games. Anyone who tries to have a beautiful family dinner for Thanksgiving, for a holiday, for a religious holiday, and brings up hatred, racism, homophobia, judging each other, not liking your career, not liking that you can't find a job. That's not a nice family moment. I don't want that. So I thank you for your perspective, but I opt out of this topic. Let's pick a different topic. I would like this to be a good memory of being together with the family. And that probably means not talking about a few things. And you might have to arrange some of this ahead of time. Hi, cousin so-and-so. I'm going to be at the dinner. I want to make sure we're not going to talk about this and that. Let's just agree that at dinner, we're not going to bring this up. Maybe everybody is your Facebook friend. You post to Facebook, hi, I'm planning to be at Christmas dinner. Just letting everybody know right now, I don't want to talk about politics, current events, religion, genders, you name it. Pick the high road, move on, or step out. Yep, Uncle Bob, your conversation is making the mashed potatoes taste bad. Oh, that's so funny. Right. I would hope other people at the family gathering would try to shut down controversial topics. Not in my family. Family gets air quotes in my family. No. Yeah, planting seeds. I like it. Yeah. Hey, Uncle Bob. Your political views make your ass look fat. Does your ass look fat in those political views? That's a good one. Yeah, and ultimately, you have to decide what you want to do. Some people want to fight those people. I usually don't, because I don't believe that there's a winning. And I think those people feel like they win when you start fighting. Like, ooh, I got them. I got a rise out of them. Ooh, look at them go. One of my best friends, who none of you know, she hasn't been on the show, she's a little older than I am. She's in her mid-50s. And she told me that when she used to go to family dinners, her elderly parents, who have opposite political views, would specifically bring up topics they knew she was sensitive about to try to upset her. And when she got upset, they would pick on her for being upset. Ooh, you're so sensitive. You're one of those libs. You're so... And I'm just like, why are we even playing? Ana Lucia says, fortunately, my trash family, members already took themselves out. Good. So only the good people remain. We may be few, but we're all we need. We don't need those who decided we are disposable. Totally. And that goes both ways. I know, I just know, I haven't checked, but I know my family is much happier without me, because I was always told I was the problem. I was the problem. I'm the trouble. I'm the bad one. Well, then you've got to be happier now that I'm gone. Your problem is gone. And I'm happier because my problem is gone. They were my problem. Nice suggestion work. Yeah. Hey, I'm your problem. I can help you there. You'll never see me again. That's my gift to you. My gift to you is you will never see me again. My gift to me is I will never see you again. Guess what? This works. Who's their problem now? LOL. Exactly. I got tired of trying to put tape on it and glue it back together and try to fix everybody's problems and keep people from fighting and keep person X from abusing person Y. And it was like, you know what? Y'all want to fight each other and kill each other and hurt each other? Go ahead. I'm taking myself out of it. And again, I made the very rare decision. Most people don't do this, and that's okay. But you are allowed to get a break in whatever way you need a break. Does that mean not going to a family dinner or a holiday event? Don't go. Make something up. You can't go. You can't afford to go. You have to work. You are sick. Your dog is sick. You have to stay home. Whatever it is. You're volunteering this year at a soup kitchen. You're doing something else. You have a nice presentation style classic newscast. Thank you, I think. So I think the microphone helps. So I want to make sure today, because I know we're running over time. We usually do a half hour, 40-minute show. It's over an hour, but we got caught up on who's holding a baby. I apologize there. I hope we helped that topic. But I want to make sure people understand that most of us, not all of us, most of us have choices at the holidays. We can decide how much time we spend with certain people. And you are allowed to reduce that time. Maybe if you know it's going to be difficult people, maybe you say, we're going to my partner's family this year. We'll just come see you for dessert. We'll stay for a half hour. Give yourself that out. It's okay. My tech's not that good. This is okay microphone. It's okay to have an escape story. It's okay to have a reason to leave. It's okay to make up a different reason to leave. Oh, I'm just getting a text on my phone. Oh no, it sounds like my partner's mom just fell down the stairs. We're going to have to run. I'm so sorry. So beautiful to see everybody. And I made all that up. So beautiful to see everybody. Thanks for a great dinner. Hey, gotta go. Go ahead. Make it up. Do whatever you have to do to get out of there. Put your oxygen mask on first. So that is my main message to everybody. When you know that a holiday, oh my God, bye. Yes, as one of my college friends used to say, house on fire, gotta go. Which Pump a Latte, that was the ambassador to your country. Stress narrows our ability to see our options. Keith's totally right. And I think what Keith is also reminding us of, on purpose or by accident, is plan some of this ahead. Because when you are at that family event or holiday dinner, you might forget what to do. You might freak out. You might be stressed out. You might be angry or depressed. Plan ahead. What will I do? Uncle Bob is probably going to talk shit about my lifestyle or my choices or my career or my job problems or my divorce. I've had some people in my coaching say, I'm so afraid to go to the next family gathering because I'm just getting divorced now and everybody liked my spouse and now I'll be there alone and they're going to think I caused this or I'm a loser. This is all really complicated stuff. Think about it ahead of time. Knowing what you desire is a great way to get there. Keith is not wrong. Think about the outcomes that you want. When it's January, when it's February, how do you want to remember holidays 2025? How do you want to look back at that? What do you want to remember about it? Maybe you remember not going. Maybe you remember, here's a story. So my previous boyfriend, who I sometimes talk about because he's one of my best friends now, at one point I had a bad fight with his mother. We had a fight. And then Thanksgiving came around and I said to him, I'm not coming. I'm not going to Thanksgiving where it's the four of us, you and me and your mom and dad. I don't want to see your mom. I really don't. And he didn't like what his mom had said to me. And he was like, I can't really fight you on this. And I said, I'm going to Las Vegas to see my friend Russell. Who remembers Russell from the show? He came on a few years ago to give fake answers to questions because he knows nothing about UX. He's a comedy guy and radio broadcaster. I said, I'm going to Vegas with Russell. We're going to go buy some records and just be silly. And I have pictures from that. They're over there. And my then boyfriend was supportive. He said, I'm not going to make you hang out with my mom. And I can't fix what's going on between you two right now. And if you just need to have space from her, that's okay. I'll go to Arizona and I'll see my parents and you do what you want. I was, great. Thank you. Yeah. Know the behavior and before they hit those buttons. And yeah, they'll hit those buttons. Ana Lucia says, I hate going to my hometown because older people, not my nuclear family, more like neighbors and stuff, can be nosy. Common questions I get are, when are you going to get married? I won't. When are you going to have kids? When I was your age, I already had 3 kids. I can't have kids. Yeah, and I find I finally found the things that ended conversations, because when I was younger I got those kinds of questions, especially the when are you going to have kids, and I've never wanted kids, and of course you can all see I followed through on that. And people would say, oh, you're married, when you, because I've been married before, when are you going to have kids? And I would say, I don't want children. And they go, no, you'll change, you'll want children. And I would say, why would you say that to me? I'm old enough to know what I want. I've never wanted children. I am gleefully and successfully on the no kids ever plan. And I've had family members look at me and just walk away. And you know what? I'm fine with that. It ended the conversation. I moved too much to have a hometown. Yeah. That is true for some peeps. I'm certainly avoiding my hometown. Fuck them. So, okay, how are you managing your debt? Yeah, right. Yeah, imagine if we asked questions back to these people. Hey, are you still cheating on dad? You know, not that that happened in my family. I have no idea. If my parents cheated on each other, I have no idea. I always thought my father would cheat on my mother with a cake. That's a separate story. But he was addicted to cake. I think he thought cake was love. So, yeah, I mean, you can always turn these questions around on people and they're not comfortable. And it's like, you know, do you want me to ask you a judgmental, uncomfortable question right now? You know, that can't be good. No one wants that, you know, or sometimes I would just challenge people because that's my personality. Oh, when are you going to have kids? Why do you care? Why does it matter when I have kids or how many I have? Who cares? Get out of my uterus. But, you know, I've always been that person who just gave it to people. I've just had an injustice trigger and a bit of a short fuse for a long time. My fuse has gotten longer as I've gotten older, but I've had to work on it. Ana Lucia says, I don't know if I want to have kids or not. I thought it could be a possibility someday. Now it seems to be almost next to impossible. But I already did my grief process about it. I don't want to share that with randoms. Unfortunately, they only stop when I'm direct about it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm that tough, challenging person, you know. Would you ask, you're asking me why I don't have children. Would you still ask me that if you knew that question was hurtful to me? I wonder what people would say to that. Evil people would say, yeah, I want you to hurt. Yeah, you're yours. And people should stay out of other people's business for real. That's boundaries. That's respect. And it goes in all directions. There have been many moments where I've had no idea what to say to someone. I was at a baby shower and someone was asked me, hey, do you have kids? And I said, nope, I'm gleefully and successfully on the no kids ever plan. And the mother of the new baby said, I was on that plan. Oh, that's an awkward moment. You just had the baby. Or maybe it wasn't a new baby party. I forget what it is. Disregard the spammer. It's like, then what do you say to that person? Like, oh, sorry you had the baby? Where do you go with that one? I remember a friend of mine once said to me, oh, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, congratulations. She's like, oh, no, I didn't want this. And I was like, oh. Yeah, I've never said congratulations again to a pregnant person. I've said, are you happy about it? 2 spammers. Spammers are losers. Asmirella says, I got surprised with a pregnancy at 48, and you wouldn't believe how much people thought it was their place to educate me on how old I am and how old the kid will be when I die, and do I have money, LOL, like, whoa. Asmirella, are you our Croatian friend? Did you know spamming lowers your IQ? That's funny. So yeah, it's It's wild. People just feel so entitled to no, it's Sarah. Oh, okay. One of the Sarahs. I'm not sure which Sarah, but hello, Sarah. I thought you were someone from our community who I think was recently but pleasantly surprised with a pregnancy, though I didn't think they were 48. So, okay, that makes sense. Anyway, we've got a Sarah with a baby. And you don't have to hand your baby to anybody you don't want to. Yeah. So, Sarah Freeman. Hello. Focus on healing. Yeah. What if we all just focused on ourselves? Get out of everybody's parts. Get out of everybody's choices. If somebody asks me, what do you think of my choice? Or what do you think of this? Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you all day long. But if somebody does not want that, I usually don't offer it, believe it or not. I am capable of not offering my opinion. And I've especially had to practice that in life coaching, where I just have to ask questions and let you find your own path. So, yeah, I don't want to give people an opinion or a perspective or a suggestion or advice that they don't want. It was also funny in my previous relationship with that guy, who I mentioned from time to time. He when I would give him advice, he would jokingly say, unsolicited advice. And I'd have to be like, that's true. You did not ask for that. Okay. Sorry. May I offer you some suggestions around that? Yes, no. Give other people agency. Yeah. Imagine that. Hey, Deb, can I tell you what I think about you not having kids? No. How about you don't tell me that? I have some friends who sometimes try to tell me more current events than I want to hear. They've since learned not to do that. But back when they hadn't learned how to do that, they would say things like, ooh, yeah, something happened today in current events. I don't know if you want to know. Can I tell you? And I would say, will I be happy later that you told me? And they would go, oh, no, you're not going to be happy about this one. Okay, then don't tell me. Thank you. I opt out. Can I give you a good word? Only if it is a good word. My godmother was a mom at 39 or so, and she heard exactly that. It made her extremely self-conscious about it. When she went to PTA meetings, she was always looking around to check if she was the older parent. She was, but she couldn't care. Yeah. My husband's sister had her first baby last year at 44. After trying for many, many years. It wasn't for lack of trying. So I am newly an aunt of a little 1-year-old dude, and I'm 53. My grandmother was 55 when I was born, but who cares? Healing strategies. I like it. Thank you, Keith. Everybody check out Keith. I think healing strategies are important. Healing energies, or even thinking ahead of time. I have a 5-year-old and a 10-month-old, and I'm 49. I love the second wind. Cool. You know, it only has to work for you. Like sometimes I'm nervous about saying on this channel that I'm not religious, because I know some of you are very religious, and I know that will make us feel like, oh, we're different. We don't have something in common. But if I believe in your ability to be a critical thinker and have empathy and be respectful, then you would be respectful of me not being religious, and I would be respectful of you being religious, whatever religion it is. Try to stay off yelling channels. I am very rarely yelling. Do I still have a compressor on here? I've got to put my new compressor on here. But yeah, I'm usually not a yeller. No, I'm not a yeller. I'm a critical thinker. Here on this channel, we try to do a lot of critical thinking about work topics and personal topics. We are the Delta CX Hive. As long as it was something you wanted and you're happy about it, who cares? Age doesn't matter. Love matters. That's right. And that's what respecting other people's boundaries is about. But as I formed this topic, not everybody respects our boundaries. So how can we bring self-care and some good planning to these family dinners and family events. I work on the self-concept model. Level belief are less useful. I'm a cold reader. Okay. Good to be intuitive about people. That can sometimes help you avoid the bad situation. Like, same with me. I'm pretty good at reading stuff. I know this is going to suck. I'm not going to do it. Way better mom at 49 than at 19 and 28. My gray hair went away as a bonus. Amazing. Yes. Some defense against the dark arts strategies. Yes. Yes, because not everybody around us is empathetic or sympathetic or respectful or wants to bring out the best in you. And they have the dark arts, and we're going to have strategies. Wow, what an amazing talk. We've gone for 80 minutes. I meant to go for like 40. So thanks to everybody for diving in on this one. I don't have any more Tuesday shows planned right now. Usually I wind them down at the end of the year because people get focused on holidays and traveling and some difficult times, but we're all here for each other on the Discord. The Discord's completely free. People are welcome to join. We've got channels for work and even channels for feelings about work. And we've got channels for personal stuff, including feelings about personal stuff. So put yourself in the right channel, but the Discord's completely free. Everybody's welcome there. Go pay my rent. Don't forget to pay your rent. It's November 4th, 2025. Because they're family doesn't mean they love you or value you. Be Sherlock Holmes and John Wick. All right, maybe don't be John Wick. That seems to end up in a lot of blood and guts, but Sherlock Holmes for sure. And as Keith said, strategies against the dark arts. So I will be streaming tomorrow for Ask Me Anything, where you can ask me anything. If you want to ask a question ahead of time, go to dcx.to and follow the link to the ahead of time Ask Me Anything link. And I will be streaming on Friday. It's a special Friday fun stream, so we won't have a heavy topic. I will be doing a live karaoke stream from my vocal booth. So if you would like to put in a song request, please do. I will be streaming at 5 p.m. Central Europe time. That will be 11 a.m. in New York, 8 a.m. in California, and 9 a.m. in Arizona. So come join the silliness and the songs. Stay blessed. Stay beautiful. Thank you, Keith. Thanks for coming and adding a really cool perspective to this. Anna Lucy, I tried paying my rent yesterday. My landlord wasn't there. She's an elderly lady. Eey. Yeah, especially these old-fashioned people who still want cash or checks. So, yeah, good luck with that. And I will start our closing music. Thanks again for joining us, and I will click all of the end show flame on buttons, and I will see everybody tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Europe time, 1 p.m. New York time, for Ask Me Anything, where we'll talk about whatever personal and work topics are on your mind. Thanks, and good luck with your holiday plans.